Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video we'll be doing the full review for this Realme 3 Pro. And guys, I'm sorry, I had mentioned to you guys that I'll try to post the full review before the first sale, but what had happened is that on the first sale date, in fact it got the first OTA update, so I wanted to actually test it with that also. Now I have tested it for the last 8 days, and let me break it down between the pros and cons. What do I feel about this Realme 3 Pro? Where does it stand in this very overcrowded mid-range market? But before that, here are the quick specs for the Realme 3 Pro. As you can see, it's having a 6.3-inch IPS LCD screen, and it's powered by the Snapdragon 710 SoC, which is an octa-core processor based on the Cryos 360. It also has a dedicated micro SD card slot, a 16 megapixel rear-facing camera with 5 megapixel depth, and a 25 megapixel front-facing camera, and it also has VOOC fast charging. So let's break it down between the pros and cons. So let's start this one, and let's start with the pros, what I like about this device. Again, I have already posted its unboxing video, so if you want to know what comes inside the box and the general overview, just watch that video. I won't be covering everything because otherwise this video will become very long. So first, let's talk about the screen, because that's the most important thing I feel on a smartphone. And this one has a 6.3-inch IPS LCD screen, and I'm happy to say that the quality of the screen that they have put is actually really good, and it's also protected by Gorilla Glass 5. And some of you have asked me, there is actually a screen guard that is pre-applied to this smartphone. Now, coming about the screen, also another thing that I have noticed is that the screen can actually go really bright on this. So it's a very bright screen. Just notice how low brightness I have kept it. And another thing coming to the brightness is that it has all the sensors that you expect, and it also has that auto brightness sensor. And I'm happy to say that even if you keep it on the auto brightness, the calibration has been done very well. It quickly just reacts to environment. If you just go outdoors, it's really bright, it automatically adjusts, and when you come back inside, it quickly adjusts. Auto brightness calibration has been done very well, which I feel is actually pretty important, because otherwise you have to constantly fiddle around with the brightness manually. Now, moving to the storage variants, this comes in two. 64 gigabytes is the base one that comes with 4 gigabytes RAM, and there is also one more variant that comes with 128 gigabytes of storage. But the good thing is that this has a dedicated micro SD card slot. So even if you go for the base variant that comes with 4 gigabytes of RAM, you can expand the storage by adding a micro SD card. So dedicated SD card, that's a good thing. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I still take a lot of calls with the smartphones I test, and I use daily. I get calls anywhere from about 30 minutes to about 1 hour, and I did test this one. Again, as you can see, it's right now even in dual SIM mode, and I have been using it with my primary SIM Airtel and my secondary SIM Jio. And I have to say, in terms of cellular network reception, they have done a very good job. Again, you guys know this area, Airtel signal is not good. This is a soundproof room, and many phone calls, it rings, but calls drop. With this one, I could actually take calls with this one. So yes, the network calibration has been done very well. Another thing that is now important is that network sensitivity and stuff is one thing, but again, how is the earpiece quality? That is also very important, because some of the recent phones that I test, the earpiece quality was an issue, but on this one, the earpiece quality is actually really good, and it can actually go really loud. So no issues regarding that. It's crystal clear, the earpiece that they have put. And moving to the speaker, that's also important, because I also take some calls via speakerphone, and though it's just having a single speaker here at the bottom, it's actually really loud. So even when I took calls with the speakerphone, they were loud and clear. Now, as we are talking about sound and stuff, as I've told you, the speaker is above average in terms of loudness, but again, it's a single speaker here, as you can see, but it also has the 3.5mm headphone jack, and I did test it because many of you keep asking me to do that, and I did test it with my trusty Audio Technica M40X and even the M50X, but I also want to test it with regular earphones that you might use. This is a mid-range device, so I even tested with this JBL C100 that sell for about 700 rupees, and I have to say the sound quality I was getting from this one was really good. It can go very loud, and the sound calibration, even in the default mode without any equalizer and stuff, was actually really good. In fact, in the settings, we do have some options where you can tweak the sound signature more if you want. So I'm satisfied with the headphone output that I'm getting on this one. Now let's talk about the processor. This is having the Snapdragon 710 SoC, and it's an octa-core processor based on the Cryo 360 cores. It's based on 10 nanometer process, and I have to say it's a very fast processor, and I didn't face any issues of lagginess or anything while I was using this phone. So no issues regarding that, and no lag that I have noticed. It runs on this Color OS 6, which I feel is an improvement over the Color OS 5, particularly in terms of RAM management. What I've noticed is the RAM management is a lot better. Many of the apps, for example, I use Truecaller and stuff. I have to use it because I get a lot of junk calls. That was kept in memory. And also the recent apps, if I jump, for example, Twitter I was using in the morning, I just opened it and it's there in memory. So RAM management has been done actually well on this device. Another thing I have to bring this point is that no ads within the UIs that I have noticed. Now coming to the charging, it has a 4045 milliamp hour battery. I'll talk about the battery life later, but the good thing is that it comes with this VOOC fast charger within the box. Yes, you get the super fast charger within the box. This is almost the same charger that we get with the OnePlus devices, and this charges it actually really quickly. But again, use this charger and the cable. And some of you have asked me what happens if we can we charge this device with a normal charger. Yes, you can charge it with a normal charger, and even I tried Qualcomm quick chargers, but if you use normal chargers, it charges at a normal speed. If you want that fast charging, you have to use this charger. And I didn't time it exactly, guys, but it was around 17%, and I put this on charge with this VOOC charger, and after an hour it was fully charged. So I feel if it's around 0%, it should take roughly about 75ish minutes to completely charge. So this is a good addition that they have given. This VOOC charge is there within the box. Now, moving to the battery life, I was getting actually pretty good battery life, and during the last 8 days, I've always used this phone in with dual SIM mode. My Airtel primary and my secondary SIM, that is Jio. So I was always using it with that, and 90% of the time I was always on mobile data. Then also I was getting very good battery life. I would say approximately about 1.5 days of battery life, and on Saturdays and Sundays when I don't get a lot of calls, it could even last for about 2ish days. So battery life is really good, but it sucks that Color OS doesn't show you battery stats, so I can't talk about the SOT values, but the battery life is good. Typically it should give you about 1.5 days of battery life, and again it has the fast charging using VOOC. Now let's also talk about gaming, and some of you have also asked me about any heating issues with this device. In regular usage, as I've told you, I was using this with my primary SIM, so I used it a lot. I even used Google Maps, GPS and stuff because I was having some personal work for 2 days, and it never got very hot or something like that. I don't know why others were telling. And yes, it gets slightly warm at the back, but that's normal with any phone. Even my iPhone XS actually gets a lot warmer, I would say. So no heating issues, but I did actually post a dedicated gaming review, and I also played it with heavy games. As you can see, I played this Asphalt 9 and it handled it without any issues, no stutters or lag whatsoever. And I also played PUBG at the highest graphics settings for over 25 minutes, and even after that it played it fine, no frame drops or anything or any heating issues. The maximum temperature it went was about 42.5 degrees Celsius. So no issues regarding gaming, and with even heavy games, even at the highest graphics settings, it could play it without any issues. Again, if you want to know more, watch the gaming review that I had posted earlier. I'll leave the link in the description area. Now let's talk about the cameras. From the back, as you can see, it has the dual camera setup. The main camera is a 16 megapixel Sony sensor, and the secondary camera is a 5 megapixel. And moving to the front facing camera, it's a 25 megapixel shooter. And as you can see from the samples taken from the rear facing camera, the camera performance is actually really good considering the price point of this device, that is around 14,000. As you can see, even human subjects, the skin tones are well produced. And I also like the fact that even in harsh conditions, notice the sun, it's summer, it was really bright, then also it got the exposure right. So I feel the camera performance is really good. Now moving to indoor lighting and artificial lighting also, it actually did a good job. And also I feel due to the f1.7 aperture, it gets that natural bokeh, as you can see, even with macro shots, as I took some macro shots with this one. And as you can see, even for close-up macro shots, it does actually a good job. And yes, even in artificial lighting, these are some of the samples that I took in artificial lighting. And as you can see, it is doing a pretty decent job considering the price point of this device. Now moving to the front-facing camera, again, it's a 25 megapixel. And as you can see, the camera performance is also very good with the front-facing camera. Though it just has a single camera lens, even when we use that portrait bokeh mode, the pictures come out to be actually good even with the front-facing camera. And also in indoor lighting, as you can see, these are some of the sample shots that I took. The camera performance was actually pretty good. So these were the good things about this one. I completely forgot about the fingerprint scanner, guys. Again, the fingerprint scanner is very responsive, as you can see. And yes, it also has face unlocking if you want. But I feel the fingerprint scanner is really fast and very accurate. So these are the good things about this device. Now let's move to the cons. And the first con that I noticed is that, yeah, they have the teardrop design and whatever, but this device simply does not have any physical LED notification light. So that is one thing that was missing on this device. And also I do not like the fact that, yes, they have given this walk charger and stuff, but it's still a micro USB port. They should have gone with the USB Type-C. But again, yeah, it's a micro USB. But I'm glad that they bundled the fast charger, at least in the box. And now moving to the OS, yes, good thing is that it runs on Android Pie. You're getting the latest version of Android, and also the Android next version will come to this device, but still it is running over Color OS 6. Yes, it's an improvement over Color OS 5. I would say memory management is better than Color OS 5, and you also get this app tray, but again, still it's Color OS. Some of the functionality like deep battery analysis, the amount of SOT you get are simply not there on Color OS. So it's still that typical Color OS. And lastly, the back is actually plastic polycarbonate back. I would say this is a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is that just 2 days ago, accidentally this phone fell flat like this, and I was really scared. But when I picked it up, nothing happened because it was a glass back. If it would have been, it was a plastic bag. If it would have been a glass back, it would have shattered. But again, this is a plastic polycarbonate bag, and I have been using it without the case, though the case comes in the bundle, and I haven't noticed any scratches. I think so there is some sort of coating on this, but eventually I would say if you use it without the case, there is a high chance that scratches might come over time. So again, you have to use it with the case to be extra safe. So these were the pros and cons of this one. And lastly, moving to the pricing of this phone, I would say the base variant that comes with 4 GB of RAM and 64 GB of storage is priced at 14,000. That's a good deal. We have one more variant that is at 16,000. That has 64 GB of storage and 6 GB of RAM. I would say I'm not that impressed with that one. Instead of that, add 1,000 rupees more. I would say if you really want, at 17,000, we have the one with 128 GB of storage and 6 GB of RAM. I feel that makes a lot more value. Or the base variant that is at 14,000 rupees makes sense. I don't see value in the middle 16,000 rupees variant. Anyways, guys, that is it for this review of this Realme 3 Pro. So now you have to decide if this is right for you. But overall, I'm really happy that the smartphones that we are getting now under 15,000, they are very powerful with very good cameras. And yes, I had mentioned in my unboxing video, I'll also be doing a comparison with the Redmi Note 7 Pro. I will do that hopefully by next week or so. Little bit busy this week, guys, so again, stay tuned for that. Anyways, guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.